Welcome back, Canonites. Hard to believe a month has already passed, but here we are, 8.3% of the way through the year. But in all seriousness, let's dive into another monthly recap and look back on January's rather exciting happenings, considering how little there was. Starting things off is, in case you missed it, the channel only saw 2 videos released this month, technically 1, but this is my channel and I do what I want. While it's a small number, the videos themselves I think were pretty big time investments. First up, we had a look at the original ending for Halo 2 as depicted in Lee Wilson's storyboards for the game. And after that, we took a look at all the new lore that has come to MCC's various season passes, though especially the recent Season 5. Links to both videos can be found in the description box below. We next come to official news and releases, and boy do we have some stuff to discuss. First up, on January 19th, it was announced that Tim Dodabo, the voice of 343 Guilty Spark, will be narrating the audiobook for the upcoming Halo Point of Light novel, an appropriate choice given that a version of Spark is one of the book's main characters. Tim had previously narrated the audiobook for Halo Primordium, a book centered around the ancient human Chakas, who would become 343 Guilty Spark, and Tim did an excellent job back then. I've been looking forward to a sequel to Halo Renegades ever since I finished it, and this just gets better and better. Halo Point of Light will release on March 2nd. Next, on February 25th, we got a new Canon Fodder article diving into the lore of all the new armors that came to MCC in Season 5. These included several Halo Online armors and a few Halo Reach armors that never got released back in 2011 with the Defiant map pack. My video on the new MCC lore goes into this in more detail. The article also gives us our first canon details on Anvil Station and the Anvil Initiative, a post-war effort to foster cooperation between the UNSC and Swords of Sanghelios since Halo Online was cancelled. And of course that same day, Season 5 of MCC went live, starting players on the path to unlock all this new content. Interestingly, the trailer for Season 5 featured a number of Halo Online armors that aren't included in the game at the moment, indicating that we may see them in future seasons. It has been noted, after all, that 343 is planning up to 10 seasons of content. Now, I can't talk about Season 5 without addressing the Mr. Chief in the room, the Because You Begged challenge that unlocks the new Mr. Chief Mariner helmet for Halo Reach that several people, and until recently myself, are having trouble with. There are a few fixes that people have stumbled across, notably deleting your cloud save data, special thanks to Sizzlin on Reddit for that, though it's not universally applicable. I've linked the Reddit thread below for anyone who needs it, though. Personally, I only unlocked the thing once I tried the challenge on Xbox, having previously spent hours on PC to no avail. 343 is aware and thankfully looking into it, and hopefully they can come up with something soon. Closing out the month was another Inside Infinite update, this time diving into the Sandbox design and philosophy with lead Sandbox designer Quinn Del Hoyo, senior designer in charge of equipment Tim Temmerman, lead weapon designer David Price, lead vehicle designer Brian Berryhill, Sandbox designer Ellen Gleiber, and senior Sandbox designer Kevin Stalker. An absolutely stacked lineup to go over Halo Infinite's Sandbox. A main point they brought up when diving into all this was what the Sandbox team does and a philosophy called Combat Doctrine. To sum it up, they talk about the dance, the true core of Halo's combat engagement, tools of engagement, the lone wolf aspect of Halo, ensuring a player can feel powerful enough on their own, a player's connection to their actions, and survivability. Each point is fleshed out in detail in the main article. The team goes on to dive into vehicles, the new equipment, and weapons, including several new weapon renders. One of the highlights here was talking about bringing damage type to Halo. Halo has always had this to a degree, notably with the distinction between human or kinetic weapons and Covenant plasma weapons, though it seems that Halo Infinite will dive deeper into this. Reading things over, it sounds a lot like Destiny's damage type system, which, could be good, could be bad, we'll see. The article goes on to discuss more Sandbox details, before eventually ending with a few teasers. One of these encourages players to start signing up for the Halo Insider program, or making sure your information is up to date, so that you can join fighting for Halo Infinite when it starts. I've left a link to that below as well. And circling back a moment to the beginning of the article, Community Manager Sketch tells us that next month's Inside Infinite will dive into the process of bringing Zeta Halo to life. You can bet I'll be covering that in great detail. But that wraps up the official stuff and brings us to the community shoutouts. Starting things off is this collection of Blue Team's Halo 5 helmets by the Blue Tank. I love the boxiness of them all myself. Check out the Blue Tank on Twitter. Next, we have a fantastic D&D crossover from, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced this, Yengois, featuring a D&D group hanging out in the Halo universe. Check her out on Twitter. After that, we have source filmmaker artist NewAgeGoku on Twitter, and I've decided to highlight this fantastic recreation of Spartans in action from Halo Mythos. Check him out. Next up, we have this amazing render by artist Strife, featuring the Chief in his Gen 3 Mark 6 and the Arbiter in his golden Kaiden's armor, the two ready to engage any threat. Check it out on Twitter. Following that, we have Tom Jurassic returning again, this time with a UNSC encounter with some friendly facehuggers. Check it out on Twitter. Next is artist Chris O'Brooks, who took the liberty of fleshing out some of the armor sets that were concepted for Halo 3, and damn do they look good. Check him out on Twitter. Next up is an absolute treat, MintBlitz, as he tries to complete the level Pillar of Autumn in Halo CE while blindfolded. Apparently the full attempt took 90 minutes, but the video cuts it down to the highlights. Check out MintBlitz on YouTube. After that, we have Covenant Canon with 10 facts you didn't know about the Banished. Are you eager for some more Banished lore while you wait for Halo Infinite? Nakai has you covered. Check out the video on YouTube. Next up, we have a cool Mjolnir Mark 7 design by I'm Dart Agnon. I hope I got that right. Reminds me a bit of a mix of Hunter and Copperhead armors. Check out the artist on Twitter. Following that, we have this wonderful piece from Nick Tucker depicting the Chief and some Marines exploring Installation 07. Absolutely classic. Check it out on Twitter. And after that, we have some really cool 3D models from Chris Daniel over on Reddit, low poly Halo gear. I love this pseudo pixel style, and Halo always wears it really well. Check it out on Reddit. Next is an amazing ink drawing of the Master Chief by Masonthemasonmason. Not much else to say, it just looks great. Check it out on Reddit. Next up is an amazing piece by Daina of a Promethean knight protecting a young girl, and I have to say, the knight is just precious. There are some really wholesome and some really heartbreaking ways you could interpret this piece too. Either way, check it out on Twitter. After that, we have this badass piece by Wandering Ronin titled Holy Guardian. And I have to agree with the comment I saw on this, I get some Gate Guardian vibes when looking at it. Check out Wandering Ronin on Twitter. And speaking of Ronins, check out this awesome piece by Jafet on Twitter titled Ronin. God damn, I love this sort of art style, and replacing what might normally be katanas with classic Halo swords is the perfect icing on the cake. Check it out on Twitter. Following that is a great depiction of a Jiralhanai War Chieftain by Vorpal. Check it out on Twitter. And our penultimate shoutout goes to Dagger6 and his work on a Halo fan comic in conjunction with Covenant Canon, titled War Torn. Dagger's art is always a treat, and I'm very interested to see where Nakai's story goes. Check out Dagger6 on Twitter. Wrapping things up, as always, is the Halo Community Spotlight for January. Always filled with a variety of creations from traditional art and renders to music and tattoos, these are worth your time if you don't check them out already. This and all the creations I've listed off here today are linked in the description box below. And that brings us to the end of this monthly update. January didn't have much to speak on, but it's the start of the year and that's to be expected, I'd say. As usual, if you have something you'd like to see highlighted at the end of this month, leave a comment below and I'll be sure to promote it. It can be your own work, someone else's, anything. And speaking of promotions, allow me to go a little off topic for a moment. Right now, LEGO is holding a poll to determine the theme for their 90th anniversary set in 2022. Bionicle is in the running, and it would be stellar if Bionicle could return, if only for a moment. If you're feeling inclined, head over to the voting page, create a LEGO account if you don't already have one, and vote Bionicle. The poll closes on February 10th. I've left a link at the top of the description box below. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this has been Halo Canon. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, and if you really love me, hit that notification bell and leave a thumbs up. These both really help out the channel. I wouldn't be where I am now without your views and support, so once again, thank you. Keep on being awesome, Canonites.